Hello, my name is Sophie Roehl. I'm 11 years old and a junior in the Caroline County Triple Crown Equine Club. Today I'm going to be giving a presentation on my personal Project Horse story. I chose this topic because I'm really interested in breeding, foaling, training, and showing my very own 4-H Project Horse. This will be a multi-part story that I hope to share with you as it progresses each year. During this presentation, I will cover my reasoning for selecting the sire and dam of my Project Horse. I will also walk you through the breeding process and introduce you to my new foal. Meet the dam. See Me Shining, also known as Fancy, is currently 15 years old and is a proud sorrel quarter horse. Now let's meet the sire. Steady Smoking Guns, also known as Gunny, is currently 9 years old and is a Palomino. He is double registered in the Paint Horse and Quarter Horse Associations, which means my Project Horse will also be double registered. This was important in my selection so that I have more variety of choosing where I can show my Project Horse. And multiple registrations also makes him more valuable. Fancy and Gunny have a great reputation in reining and ranch events. I hope to show my Project Horse in these events when he's older. Gunny and Fancy also have great dispositions and are very kind, quiet, and patient. Here's a picture from a video we found online where two kids were crawling all over Gunny while he just stood there. Here's a picture of me crawling all over Fancy in her paddock. It takes great minds to be so tolerant. These are the vet visits that I'll be talking about today during the breeding process, which include the reproductive evaluation, the ovulation checkup, artificial insemination, pregnancy check for the embryo, and pregnancy check for the heartbeat. During the reproductive evaluation, the vet performed an external and internal physical. The external physical is where they check the mare's physical body to make sure it's healthy enough to carry the foal. The internal physical is where they check her reproductive tract to make sure it's also healthy enough to carry the foal. What they had to do is bring the ultrasound through the rectum, over the cervix, into each one of the ovaries looking for the follicles. As represented in this picture, you can see the follicles located in the ovary. The ovulation checkup told us that Fancy was ready to breed. Her follicle was a little bigger than usual, but she was able to hang on to it until the sire ship semen arrived for breeding. Because of this, she had to stay over at the clinic until they could perform AI 2 days later on the 23rd. To prepare for AI, first they had to wrap the tail and use a Velcro strap to move out of the way. Next, they used a scrub called Betadine to scrub around the area where they will be doing the insemination so that once they go in, they don't bring any bacteria with them. So here I will demonstrate so that you can understand more clearly how they perform AI. So what they do is connect a special syringe full of semen to a small tube. Next, they push their hand to the cervix and push the tube under their hand and into the cervix. Once it's in the right spot, they use the semen to use the syringe to push all the semen into the cervix. Motility is an important term I learned that tells you how many live and active sperm there are. The more live and active sperm there are, the better the chance of pregnancy. When we started, Fancy had 80% motility, and once Steady Smoking Gun ship semen arrived at the clinic, she had 35% left, which is close to 45%, which is the average motility for a quarter horse. Since her motility was so good, we hoped that one of these active little feathers would do their job. And this pregnancy check told us one did. Here's a picture of a resulting embryo located in the uterus, which means there's a foal on the way. This is called Kazakh surgery. It is where they stitch up where the mare is supposed to foal to prevent bacteria from entering the reproductive tract when she lets out her fecal balls. These are taken out prior to foaling. I was surprised at how quickly she healed after this procedure, and it only took a couple of days for her to look normal again. This pregnancy check, we used an ultrasound to check that the embryo is growing normally. As you can see, it is not as round as it used to be and is starting to fill the uterus. And then we saw a heartbeat. Look here for the flutter. After that, I was able to give Fancy vet-recommended rhino shots at 5, 7, and 9 months along in pregnancy to make sure that she and her foal remain healthy. Here's a photo of me administering the shots to her myself. During the first week of March, we reversed Fancy's Kazakh surgery to prepare for foaling. During the second week of March, we moved her to a smaller pen for foaling. I've had a lot of time to learn about Fancy's care during gestation. Gestation is a term that means how long it takes for something to be born. Gestation horse is about 340 days from insemination. So my project horse's due date was March 29th this year. But she made us wait 355 days. She finally went into labor on April 13th, and I was able to watch her give birth at about 10:30 that night. I had an idea that she was going to fold that night because she showed these symptoms, which included pacing, loss of appetite, and milk dripping from her teats. Unfortunately, when I went to check on her, the foal was already halfway out, but I was able to watch as it stood up, took its first steps, and started nursing a couple hours later. Meet the foal that we've been waiting for 355 days. This little guy is all I could ask for. He's my dream horse. It's not always that you see a blue-eyed, bald-faced sorrel horse with 4 white socks. Unfortunately, we haven't given him a name, but I have a few in mind, which include Smokey, Pistol, and Shooter. During my presentation, I covered my reasoning for selecting the sire and dam of my project horse. I also walked you through the breeding process and introduced you to my new foal. My sources are listed here for your reference, which includes Dr. Mike Stanford, Woodside Equine Veterinary Center, Study Smoking Guns Online. This concludes my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?